Hello, welcome to part 2. Now, it seemed that the Enterprise is at the complete mercy of the Reliant, and we know this because Spock takes Kirk over to show him the damage report, and there's a lot of flashing red lights on top of the Enterprise, and that means bad. Bad for the Enterprise and bad for them, because they've only got auxiliary power and they can't get away now, and neither can they fire back. So they are now at the complete mercy of the Reliant and the captain of the Reliant, and we all know who the captain of the Reliant is at the moment. No, not now, later, much later. Alright, so the Enterprise now is hailed by the Reliant. The Reliant gives them an ultimatum. Surrender. That's it. Just surrender. And now Kirk finds out for the first time who is actually the captain at the moment of the Reliant. It's Khan. Now, Captain Kirk hasn't seen him for a long time, and they're not on best terms at the moment. Now, Khan makes his intentions clear, as he says himself. I am going to kill you. I've deprived your ship of power, I'm coming back round, I'm going to kill everybody on board that ship, including you.
Of course.
But Kirk says, you know, if it's me you want, just take me. And Khan thinks about it, well, okay, that's not too bad, I'm really only after you, and I want the Genesis device. And Kirk goes, well, give us a couple of minutes, you know, because you've blown our ship up and the computers aren't working, but yeah, we'll give you the information, and then I'll beam myself over. Giving them time, and Kirk and Spock, that is, to formulate a cunning plan.
It's a cunning plan, actually.
So Kirk orders Savick to bring up Reliance Command, which is the prefix code, which is essentially their shield frequency, I guess. It's never really explained, but if it's anything like Star Trek 7, once you put in the prefix code or the shield variations that you can shoot right through them. In this, though, it just lowers the shields instead. So there's one thing Kirk knows that Khan doesn't. So Kirk puts his stunt off, it works. They shoot a few shots at the Reliant damaged. For some reason, he said they damaged the warp drive and the photon control, so they go. Khan doesn't want to. I mean, I'm quite sure they could have made a stand for it. You know, they still got phases and the Enterprise is powerless, but no, they retreat for the time being. You know, a bit like Megatron, when his plans don't go too well, he just retreats in the middle of battle. And they do the same. So with that, they appear, for the time being, to be out of danger, but they know the Reliant will be back, and their mission is to get to Space Station Regula One. So they continue on that. But first, Kirk goes to investigate the damage and the dead crewmen. And here we see, I think it's either the nephew or some cousin of Scotty, Peter Piper picked a pickled peppers. And that's about as fast as I can say it. So he's not going to pick any more peppers today because he's picked his last pepper. So he's pickled his pepper. Oh, forget it. He dies, okay? And Scotty goes off a little bit of a, you know, hissy fit. You know, it was understandable. He's a relation of his. I mean, Kirk and Bones have a little discussion about what's going on, and they make it to Regula One. So now is their opportunity to actually go and do some investigating. So Kirk, Savick, and Bones, that is, all beam down. And once they get down, they discover there doesn't seem to be anybody around. Now, this is the strange thing is, you see Savick, she gets a bit spooked, and she seems to be nervous. Now, spooked, nervous, unsure, aren't they, let me think, emotions! Anyway, eventually, after what seems like an eternity of walking around this blasted station, they find some dead people. And then, finally find Chekhov, who I think they weren't necessarily expecting to find on here, and the captain. But as for the rest of the crew of Reliant, you know what? Who gives a damn? Because they sure as hell don't.
In our bodies.
Well, Chekhov and the captain, who I can't remember the name of, but it's not important because you'll never see him again, explain what's been going on, that Khan wanted the Genesis device, and we all know the story. So Kirk goes, well, he obviously didn't get the Genesis device, and the transporter's been used. We should beam down and, you know, maybe see where they've gone, if there's anybody alive who's actually beamed down. They hail the Enterprise to do a fake message, i.e. saying that the Enterprise is completely crippled and it isn't likely to work anytime soon. Knowing that Khan is obviously listening, and it gives him a false indication of the status of the ship. So they beam down and they find out that there's David down there and Kirk's old quote-unquote partner, wife, girlfriend type thing. And they now find out that they have the Genesis device down there with them.
Is that David?
But it turns out that Chekhov and the captain weren't okay like they said they were. They were lying. They're still under the control of Khan. So they pull out phasers and threaten Kirk. But the captain is ordered to kill Kirk, and he can't do it. He just can't kill Kirk. And rather than kill Kirk, he kills himself. What a good man. Nobody can kill Captain Kirk. And Chekhov, being very handy for the film, and the fact is that he's one of the original crew members and not a red shirt, he is overcome by such pain that he drops his phaser. Yes, it's a shame the captain didn't get an opportunity, but no, but Chekhov is gonna be okay. And now Kirk threatens Khan. But as you can guess, Khan doesn't take too kindly to Kirk's threat, so he beams up the Genesis device and says, you know what, Kirk, I'm going to do far worse than kill you. I'm going to do exactly what you apparently did to me. I'm going to leave you on this planet, barely alive, just struggling to exist. And Kirk now responds with possibly one of the most memorable Star Trek quotes ever. And now, because I'm unbelievably juvenile and childish, the Khan song.
You still remember, Admiral?
And with that, Khan thinks, well, I've stranded Kirk, that's probably the best I'm going to be able to do. Now I'll continue on my merry way in my nice-looking new Reliant ship. So the rest of them will try and make the best of a bad situation. They all go off and start talking about the Genesis planet, and isn't it great, and discuss the Kobayashi Maru test. But essentially what we're doing is we're killing time for the last act of the film. Well, anyway, in the meantime, Khan's only talking crew member reports to him that they are now at full power, and we know that the Enterprise isn't. So, they're going to come back again and have a second go at it. Well, it's here that Saavik finds out that apparently Kirk didn't face death. It's that same problem I mentioned in the first part. He didn't. Nobody really faced death. It's just a simulation. It's only to better your career, blah, 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 blah. But that's just my opinion. So she finds out he cheated, because he said he doesn't like to lose. And then he picks out a communicator and talks to Spock, and Spock goes, yeah, it's right on schedule, and beams him on board. And they find out that the Enterprise isn't nearly as crippled as Khan was meant to believe. So now, all of the crew are back on the Enterprise. The Reliant is fixed and ready for battle, as is the Enterprise at short notice. So it's on partial main power. It can't do warp. Mind you, you wouldn't really need warp in a battle situation, but there we go. So we got the two ships now. We got the Reliant and the Enterprise for a one-on-one battle. Now, the Enterprise is orbiting the planet, as is the Reliant. Unfortunately for the Enterprise, the Reliant is quicker. But they know there's something called the Nutara Nebula. And Kirk goes to Scotty, do you think you can get us in there? And he says, the Energizer's bypassed like a Christmas tree, sir, don't give me too many bumps. And Kirk turns around and says to him, what the hell are you on about? Can we make it inside or not? Yes, so what Scotty really meant by all that was, yes. So they start making it towards the Nutara Nebula. And Kirk can see the Reliant is dropping back, because even his only one talking crew member knows not to go into the Nutara Nebula because their shields won't function and their view screens won't function, so they'll be practically flying blind without shields. So Kirk starts taunting Khan. And it isn't hard to taunt Khan. You only got to say he's a wuss or a sissy who think his plastic chest is horrible and his hair's bad, so yes, he follows them in.
You have Genesis. You can have whatever you... Full power!
So
now both of the ships are at the same disadvantage. Speed will not help the Reliant, neither will the fact as it's slightly more powered at the moment. They're both at a disadvantage. So now it's a test of wit and skill of each of the captains.